New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity. And hello again, dear ones. Dr. Robert with you here on a Friday evening. It's 5 o'clock on the Mountain Time Zone, and that means it is time for the good news. Chance we take every week to look at some of the good news stories that have made their way across my desk or here at the New Thought Media Network. For those that Reverend Barbara normally is here with us on a Friday night, and she is off tonight, so I'm sitting in on the host seat, and so grateful to be with you. So thankful that you're a part of what we're doing here on the New Thought Media Network. All right. First up, we got a great collection of stories for you here tonight. And first up, I want to introduce you to travel blogger Corey Lee. Now, Corey has been exploring for a very long time, but he's also confined to a wheelchair. And he's actually said it was easier at one time to explore Antarctica than any of the places near his home in his home state of Georgia. Well, that's all changed thanks to a contraption there, an invention you see called the track chair, the action track chair. This has made it easier for him to be able to explore more rugged hiking trails and other places that might have used to be off limits to him. He's gotten it out into his home state of Georgia. He's also used this in Colorado and Michigan. The wheels on the treads on the action track chair allow people with mobility issues to traverse those rocky trails, sandy beaches, and even the uneven terrain. They're even powerful enough, he says, to make it up steep hill climbs. Lee told various news outlets it's opened a whole new world for me and for other wheelchair users. I'm sure about that. So that's Corey Lee. We're grateful to know that he's able to get some mobility in his life. And that's what the good news is all about here on the New Thought Media Network. Sharing those stories we might not normally see and remind us that we really are creating a world that works for everyone. This is helping Corey to create a world that works for him. Definitely. You know, it's been a really rather cold spell here across North America and the United States over the past month or so. And what we've got for you now is a story coming out of Kentucky. A farming family welcomed a new calf, but it happened on one of those overnights where the temperature dipped down into single digits, and the family realized that, well, the calf probably wouldn't make it. Macy Sorrell is not only a farmer, but she is a mother first, and decided to bring the calf into their home where she figured it would be okay. Falling on asleep on the couch next to her two children, Sorrell snapped a photo here of her that's got the internet all aglow. Sorrell and her husband Tanner went to check on their pregnant cow at dusk, gathered around their property in Mount Sterling, Kentucky. To their surprise, the cow had already given birth. So they brought the calf inside and said it was already close to freezing, to frozen. They decided that having lost a calf last year to frostbite, they wanted to take different measures. So they brought it inside, started giving it started warming it up with blankets and a blow dryer. Yup, blankets and a blow dryer. There we do. And then somehow their 3-year-old son, Gregory, decided he was going to cuddle up with the calf and keep it warm. They said it was just the most amazing and normal looking thing they had ever seen. So they got a bunch of pictures there. You're seeing them on your screen. Good news. Now, they named the calf Sally after their harrowing night, and Sally was able to rejoin her mother the next day at sunrise, ready to explore the world. No word yet on how she's doing, but I imagine everything's just fine. Moving forward, I want to introduce you to Taryn Smith. Now, Taryn lives in landlocked Nebraska, but as a young adult in Omaha, she had a craving for open water. Well, now at the age of 25, she's part of an all-female rowing team that set a world record in what is known as the Great Pacific Race. And that was back in 2022. And rowing, she was at that time rowing from Monterey, California to Hawaii in only 34 days. Well, she said, I just remember thinking it sounded like the most amazing thing in the entire world. And it captured her thoughts around the rowing team's record. I wanted to do something big in my 20s. I wanted to spend the rest of my life knowing that I was capable of something like this. Yes, Taryn, you definitely appear to be able to do this one. Smith started researching opportunities that might present an equally daunting challenge and eventually discovered what's called the world's toughest row. Now, this is a 3,000-mile rowing race from the Canary Islands on the western edge of Africa to Antigua in the Caribbean island. And she was going to do it alone. Yeah, any parent out there knows what that might feel like if your 20 to 25-year-old says she's going to row 3,000 miles alone. Now, rowing is not new to the family. Both her grandparents had sailing experience, but she did have a lot to learn. She quit her job and trained for 3 years, spending time in the United Kingdom and living exclusively on her rowboat for several weeks at a time. She needed to become one with the water because that would soon be her only company. Yes, I can imagine. Taryn seemed to know no fear, said Shelley Smith, her mother. She was always kind of kid that thrived on adventure, but she really liked this challenge. So on December 14th, Taryn faced 42 other teams from 20 different countries at the starting line of the race across the Atlantic. The journey was expected to take about 2 months, with Taryn rowing 10 to 12 hours each day by herself. By day 27, she was at the brink of exhaustion and had developed hives from sun exposure, hadn't slept soundly for 2 straight nights, and spent the morning sobbing, fighting the fatigue and exhaustion as her boat got bounced up and down by waves. She said these were absolutely huge waves. A wave would come by gushing over the deck and would literally knock me out of my shoes. Really, really scary, she said. I think this is the first day I felt properly terrified since being out there. Now, to make matters worse, a menacing marlin was stalking her boat for miles and miles, but nevertheless, she persisted. By day's end, she had overcome every last challenge the Atlantic could throw at her and was still making progress. Listening to audiobooks on her headphones, she kept saying, so all in all, life is good. Partnering with Girls on the Run throughout her journey raised money for the nonprofit that empowers girls grades 3 through 8 through running, physical activity, and confidence building programs. Congratulations, Taryn, on behalf of the New Thought Media Network. Way to go! She's the first woman to row solo across the Atlantic Ocean. Wow. What good news stories we got there. Oh my gosh. All right, from the Atlantic, we're going back to icy and cold North America. While millions of Americans were hunkered down in their homes after the ice storms swept across the country, 2 young teens got busy building community spirit by building an igloo. They constructed their igloo in front of the house, and that house happened to have been destroyed by fire just a few months ago. Adeline Sudich and her friend Maeve Ritochi, excuse me for the pronunciation there, ladies, carved dozens of ice bricks with a flat shovel and used a sled to move them to a symbolic spot. We built an igloo to create unity in the community and bring people together, said Adeline. It brought joy to all the neighbors with such a frustrating experience of snow and a very, very interesting way to use that snow. I feel like this igloo is a good representation of hope and how things can be rebuilt, she said. Now, the whole family got involved, and when the sun began to set in the Sligo Woods neighborhood of Silver Springs, Maryland, just outside of Washington, D.C., there you can see they got some lights and lit up their igloo. Father Stephan outfitted the group with headlamps. They worked in the dark, and Mom shot the videos until the roof was finally laid on top, eventually building chairs and a table out of ice so people could hang out inside the snow cave. Good work, ladies. What a great idea. They even had a visitor's logbook so you could sign in as the neighbors came to visit the igloo. You know, when life gives you ice, you make igloos out of it. That's the good news from here. We're going to take a quick break, folks. Let's say hello to some of our, let you know a little bit more about what's going on here around the New Thought Media Network. But please don't go away. Stay with us. We're going to be back in just a minute with more of the good news here on New Thought Media Network. Come expand your spiritual journey. Join us for Just the Talk, Sunday. Come expand your spiritual journey. Join us for Just the Talk, Sundays, 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. Mountain Time. Experience Unity Kitchener and Ottawa. Center for Spiritual Living Midtown. Center for Spiritual Living Denver. Unity of Garden Park, New Thought, Philadelphia, the Sunshine Cathedral, Unity of Savannah, and the Ohm Center for Spiritual Living. Come unleash your spiritual potential with New Thought Media Network. And we're back with more of the good news here on the New Thought Media Network. I want to introduce you to Patrick Duke. Now, Patrick is locally known as the one-armed golfer. He plays in Ireland. He's an Irish golfer. And he had an accident that left him with only one arm. That gave him a challenge, and he decided to take up golf. No word on exactly why he chose golf, but it's a rather physically challenging sport. And he did something that a lot of golfers never do. He got a hole-in-one. The odds are over 100,000 to 1 to hit a hole-in-one or a perfect tee shot on the fourth hole at Overstone Park in Northamptonshire, England. The 67-year-old had been playing with friends on the 120-yard par 3 when he got his first ace with a 7-iron. Now, this is all a little more remarkable because he only learned how to play following his accident in 2012. Pat does credit golf with saving his life, and over the past 7 years, he's undergone several serious physical and mental health challenges because of his injury. He told a local news agency, "I'm not very good at the game, but it did save my life. At 280 pounds and 6'2", my games were always rugby, Gaelic football, soccer, and cricket. Now I walk around and hit a ball in a field. I've also worked all my life since I was 15, so I was very active until a workplace accident changed my life. I couldn't see a way back for me at times, but then a friend asked me if I had ever played golf. I had some lessons with a pro and told him to treat me like a blank canvas and I'll do whatever you tell me to do. He said what works for me would not work for others, and so he developed his own technique. Beyond the hole-in-one, he also managed to hit a birdie on the hole before that just a few weeks earlier. Patrick said 8 out of 10 times I knock the ball into the water and it starts getting into my head. He even said a few times he thought about throwing his clubs into the water as well. Well, this day he decided to aim straight for the flag instead of trying to hit the green. The ball landed a foot or two past the hole, rolled back, And with a little bit of backspin that he has no idea how he got, the man got a hole in one. People walking by on the fifth hole started applauding, and Kevin just threw his club in the air and couldn't quite believe it. I don't know that I would have believed it either. A hole in one for the one-armed golfer. What a great story. Perseverance, folks. No matter what's going on in your life, keep on keeping on and keep trying. And eventually, you might just get yourself a hole in one as well. From golf to mental health research. Being an involved grandparent turns out could be good for the brain. According to a new study that showed caring for grandchildren may serve as a buffer against cognitive decline and dementia in older adults. Many grandparents provide regular care for their grandchildren, care that supports families and society more broadly. But an open question is whether caregiving for grandchildren may also benefit grandparents themselves. This is according to lead researcher Flavia Chereches. The researcher wanted to see if providing grandchildren care might benefit the grandparents' health and potentially slow down cognitive decline. Now, Chereches is a doctoral candidate at Tilburg University in the Netherlands, and her colleagues examined data from over 2,800 English grandmas and grandpas, all older than 50. The average age was 67. The participants answered several survey questions and completed cognitive tests 3 different times between 2016 and 2022. The survey asked whether they had provided care for a grandchild at any point in the past year and how frequently. They were watching. Were they watching? Other questions included: were they watching grandchildren overnight, caring for them when they were sick, playing or engaging in leisure activities? And overall, what the researchers found is that grandparents who provided childcare, regardless of frequency and type of care, proved to score higher on tests both for memory and verbal fluency compared to those that didn't, and that's even after adjusting for age, health, and other factors. The findings published in the journal Psychology and Aging also found that grandmothers who provided care saw less decline in cognitive tests over the course of the study compared with those who didn't. What stood out most for us, said researchers, was that being a caregiving grandparent seemed to matter more for cognitive functioning than how often grandparents provided care or exactly what they did. Didn't matter how often or what they were accomplishing, just that they were caring for their grandkids. You know, folks, this sounds a little bit like the department of, yeah, we knew that. Helping and caring for each other is a great way to keep our minds sharp, it turns out, and reduce the opportunity for cognitive decline. What a great story. I love it. All right, we've got another one here. Now, this one comes to us from Memphis, Tennessee. A family found themselves stranded during the storms recently and received an unexpected act of kindness from someone they had never met. The gentleman you see on your screen is Gerald Driver. Now, his wife and their 3 children were forced to take shelter at a community warming center as freezing temperatures and icy conditions swept through their city. They had few options, and the family stayed at the Ed Rice Community Center, sleeping on the floor for several nights while volunteers did their best to care for those seeking refuge. Driver said, "We slept on the floor from Friday till today, and me and my wife and 12-year-old, a 9-year-old, and a 1-year-old. The staff here, they rallied with other people from other centers to bring us hot meals when they could and provide blankets." Now, their situation might have remained just one of those many difficult stories from this recent storm, but a local television reporter brought their experience into living rooms across the area. One viewer, who asked not to be identified, said she immediately felt compelled to help after seeing the family's story. Determined to do something, she began organizing help from home. Using food delivery services, she arranged for hot meals to be sent to the family. "They were hungry," she said, "and I thought I can't tolerate that. So I went on DoorDash, looked around for places that were still delivering, found a station that was open, and they made things like pizza and fried chicken. Well, she didn't stop there. She also sent over air mattresses to help the family get off the floor, along with wet wipes and other basic supplies. And over the weekend, she stayed in touch with them, offering encouragement and reminding them that they were not alone. That's an important reminder for all of us, folks. We're not alone here in what we're doing. If you need a little help, don't be afraid to ask. And if you can offer a little help, don't be afraid to give it. All right, we're going to take another quick break and say thank you to some of our organizational sponsors and individual donors. But we've got a number of stories coming up in our last segment, including this week's Hero of the Week, and you don't want to miss that. So stay with us. We'll be right back after this message.
Please help us say thank you to all of our organizational sponsors, including the Hepperlin Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Center for Spiritual Living United Life, Sunshine Cathedral, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Universal Joy Center, Unity Kitchener, Unity Spiritual Center Ottawa, Om Center for Spiritual Living, Satya Center, Begin Within Ministries, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and the Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. On behalf of New Thought Media Network, thank you, and please like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, come be you.
Yes. Thank you to all of our organizational sponsors and individual donors. It's thanks to these folks that we're able to keep these programs on the air and share the good news out into the world. If you'd like to join us in that effort, please head on over to the website, ntmedia.org. Click on that donate button and drop a little something in the kitty. Help us keep the good news on the air. All right, back into our stories for tonight. This next one really kind of hits the home. I love this idea. What happened here? A small moment of kindness was exchanged between a New Jersey UPS driver and a local author, but it turned into a viral feel-good story. The moment was captured on a Ring doorbell camera and has since racked up over 33 million views on TikTok. The video shows UPS driver Kyle Thurkoff delivering several boxes of books to Damian Lewis, who's the author of the book called Call Me First, A Man's Blueprint to True Leadership at Home. Now, Lewis realized that the delivery was a little bigger than maybe he had thought and anticipated. So when it was all over, he offered Thurkoff a copy of the book. Well, Kyle accepted the book, took it home, and actually read the book. And a few days later, without any scheduled deliveries, showed up at Lewis's home to tell him just how much the book meant to him and ask him where he could get additional copies. Lewis said for him to not have a delivery for me that day, when he came back to tell me how good the book was and to ask me where to get it, it was like I feel like I made it at that point. Well, the genuine moment between the two struck a real chord online. And as the video spread across social media, Lewis said the impact was immediate and life-changing. With 33 million views, well, that turned into over 9,000 orders of the book, and they have sold now over 9,000 copies of the book. Lewis also said, I feel blessed beyond anything I could ever expect. I almost feel like I don't deserve it, but I'm so welcoming of everything that has happened. Now, for Thurkoff, the viral attention wasn't the goal. He just was into it for the kindness. Cultivate kindness, folks. It's a good idea. Provide a close, meaningful relationship with every one of them for the respect and kindness and gratitude, said Thurkoff. That's exactly the kind of service I hope to provide when I'm at work. What started as a routine delivery turned into a powerful reminder that sometimes a little kindness can open doors and change lives in ways that nobody would expect. I would have to agree, and I encourage you, go out there and do a little bit of kindness this week for those you may find. Hey, let's go to something a little warmer. What do you think? This is a South Florida story. A scientist is proving that science doesn't have to look a certain way and is doing it through social media. Let us introduce you to Jordan King. He's a microbiologist and a content creator who's been drawing attention to his research in the Everglades National Park. Now, down there, he studies something called flock, F-L-O-C, flock. Yeah, I didn't know what it was either. The Everglades is a major research hub in Florida, but much of the ecosystem still hold unanswered questions, so King decided to focus on flock. Flock is a loose organic material found in the wetland soil, and it can reveal changes in the Everglades over time, especially those caused by human activities such as freshwater restoration. Now, flock may not sound exciting at first, but King explains why it matters. Unlike compact soil, flock helps form sediment. Without sediment, plants can't grow. Without plants, animals lose their food source. And without that balance, the entire ecosystem begins to unravel. Over the past year, King has collected more than 200 soil samples as part of his research. His dedication has earned him a master's degree from Florida International University. And though the path there wasn't easy, he says he had to reach out to over 40 professors before any one of them would give him a single yes to allow his research to move forward. King decided to share his work on social media, posting videos from the Everglades and breaking down the complex science and in an engaging and accessible way. What started as a casual idea quickly gained attention, with viewers drawn to both his passion for science and his authenticity. He said, "I feel like you shouldn't judge a book by its cover," which is what everyone says in my comments. Don't judge a book by its cover, because you never truly know what someone is doing or who they are. I think that makes me stand out in my personal style, just being me and not conforming to the standards of a specific scientist. Whether he's collecting flock samples or raising awareness about invasive species, one thing is clear: King loves what he does. He told a local NBC affiliate that he hopes to continue focusing on his research while using social media to share his work and make a living, and inspires others to get involved with science. Jordan, I think you've done that here already. Congratulations, sir. Thank you for being a part of the good news tonight. And, hey, folks, he's on YouTube. Check it out. I think he'll be easy to find. All right, we're almost wrapped up for the night, but before we go, it's that time for our... A 13-year-old boy has been hailed as a hero after swimming for 4 hours through rough seas to rescue his family. A family of 4 was enjoying a holiday in Australia's southwest coast when strong winds blew their inflatable paddleboards out to sea. The boy was separated from his mom and 2 siblings before his canoe began to take on water. Wearing a life jacket, he began to swim against the wind towards the shore, knowing every second counted in his race to help save his family. Commander Paul Breslin of the volunteer organization Cape Naturalist Marine Rescue told a local news affiliate that the boy swam for 2 hours with his life jacket on. And, quote, "The brave fella thought he's not going to make it with his life jacket on, so he ditched it and swam for 2 more hours without a life jacket. I thought that's incredible." Well, once ashore, he successfully raised the alarm and a multi-agency search and rescue operation was mobilized, including Western Australia's State Water Police and its rescue helicopter. The team provided detailed descriptions of the paddleboards, and within the hour, the family was rescued by boat after having drifted 7 miles out into the Indian Ocean. When rescuers arrived, the 47-year-old mother was struggling to keep a daughter, 8, and an eldest son, 14, firmly affixed to the paddleboard in the choppy waters. Physically, she just said, "I'm struggling. I can't." But she just said they're looking her in the eye, and she just kept looking at going and kept them together. Mr. Breslin said, adding she deserves some enormous praise for her perseverance. A local news affiliate said the family were assessed at a local hospital and quickly discharged before taking time to visit the rescue organization to thank them in person. Southwest Police Inspector James Bradley said the story highlights some important ocean safety aspects, and all members of the family were wearing life jackets, a key positive. Wind speeds near the shore should always be carefully monitored as well, and keep those life jackets handy. Young man, you are our hero of the week. Thank you so much for being on the planet. Well, folks, that's about all we've got time for tonight on the good news. I'm running just a little long. Thanks for being with us. And stay tuned throughout the rest of the evening. Coming up next is our Friday night fireside chat with Reverend Michael Mangus. That starts in just a half an hour. And of course, later this evening, it's our prayer time at 8:15, where I'll be back with the evening prayers. Thanks for being with us. And until next time, I wish you peace and richest blessings. Bye now.